Now we'll go through a piece from Chaim Shmulevitz about the Seder, but it's really sort of about the Seder and sort of a nice piece of Musar for us in life, and it's a really crucial lesson, and helps us understand maybe one of our largest challenges in life. So we'll get up to the Seder, Mitzvah Hashem. You gotta trust me, we will get to the Seder, but we'll take a little time to get there. So, but it's interesting, it's very interesting. So he brings down a pasuk. It's coming up in a few weeks, Parshas Achrei Mos, and it's talking about Aaron HaKohen, and goes to Lifnayu Lifnim, to the Kodesh HaKadoshim, the holiest of holy, the holiest place, once a year. He's only allowed to go on Yom Kippur. He goes a few times on Yom Kippur, and he has to have 7 days of separation. He's got to do all kinds of preparations before you could go. And Rashi says over there on the pasuk, Daber al Anachicha, says, don't come to the Kodesh all the time. You can only come in specific times with a specific preparation. Rashi, what's the reason? Because the Gilu Shechina is there. So what would you say? The Shechina is there, and it's dangerous, whatever. You're only allowed to come a certain... But why only a certain amount of times? Yizar shlo yargo lava. Be careful that you don't get used to going. You shouldn't get used to it. It shouldn't become ragu. He brings down, and he's going to explain more, but he brings down a Chassid Yavitz. The Chassid Yavitz on Pirkei Avos talks about a pasuk in Yecheskel. The pasuk in Yecheskel says that when Klal Yisrael would come 3 times a year to the Beis HaMikdash to be Oila Rego, so if they came in, the rule is, the pasuk says, Haba derech shar tzafon l'shtachlis, the one who comes in the north gate to bow down, Yatsa derech shar negev, he should go out the south gate. Haba derech shar negev, the one who comes in the south gate, Yatsa derech shar tzfon, he should go out the north gate. Well, Yashuv derech shar boy, you should not go back out the same gate you came in. Ki noicha yatsa, you should go out the other one. Why? Why do you have to go out the other gate? He says, Ki hikbet Hashem yisbarach shlo yirah shar beisam. You shouldn't see the same gate twice. Pen yisha be'enav shar beisam. You shouldn't get used to it. It shouldn't become like the gates of your house. You go in, you go out. It should be special. In order to keep it special, in order to keep it right, not used to it, you got to go out a different gate. And he says, very interesting. He says, this is the oven of the ego. What happened by the ego? The sin of the ego. What happened by the ego was Shahaya oil b'soicham ad shamasubay. The oil moed, which is where the Hashem came down to the world, was in the midst of Klal Yisrael. Right? And since it was in the midst of Klal Yisrael, they got disgusted by it. Because they got used to it. They had the oil moed with them at all times, and they started to get used to it. And that led them to say, let's go make ourselves a new God. Well, Moshe Rabbeinu all of a sudden here, Moshe Rabbeinu understood that this was the root of the problem. Right away, one of the first things he did after the oven ego is he took the oil moed and he put it mechutz l'machana. That it's not in the middle. You don't see it every day. You don't start to get bored of it. And now this is Rabbi Chaim Shmulevitz talking.
What do you mean?
One second. Then they moved it after that. Ha-hergo hu ha-oyev ha-gado. Hergo, no, it was moved. Moshe Rabbeinu took the oil and he took it and he put it chutz l'machana.
Some of the Parish says that when it says Ovoy, they call this tent an Ovoy. I mean, I guess.
No, the actual oil, he took it and put it in chutz l'machana.
They camped around it the whole time in the midbar.
Right after the ego, they took the oil and put it chutz l'machana. That's what it's talking about. Right after the ego.
And then they put it back after?
I'm not 100% sure.
Because when they traveled, it was in the center.
I think it's a little different. Then there was different steps. And no, that was the Mishkan. You're talking about the Mishkan?
What are you talking about?
Oh. It's not the Mishkan. This is before the Mishkan.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get the Psukim. We'll look at it later. No. It's a fact. This isn't something that's discussable. Yeah. Okay. So, but anyways, it's not the key point that we're discussing. What we're discussing over here is like this. This is the concept that we're going to be discussing. Ha-hergo getting used to something, getting regular with something, hu ha'oyev ha'gado. It's the greatest enemy, shall kol regesh kedusha v'esroimus, of any type of feeling of kedusha and hisroimus. B'shah shanitzav ha'adam al mul hanal v'nitzah, when a person is at a very high place, u'v'nafshem is noitzin zikin shalish kodesh, and his heart starts to wake up, bursts of flame of holy fire, right? He gets soiris. Ba hergo comes hergo and machaba is gachlei hakodesh. The hergo puts out the flames of the kodesh. Bezuach hazu ad ki tidach eshkal, until the ash is gone. And it says that's the pshat. Mi lano gadol my Aaron HaKohen kodesh Hashem. Aaron HaKohen, the kodesh Hashem. Before he would go into Eichel, he had to prepare for 7 days, and still he's only allowed to go once a year. Because more than once a year, you're going to get used to it already, and it's going to become regular. It's not special anymore. You see the sakana of getting used to something. And he brings down the Chassid Yavitz that says, Ki beteva ha'adam, the teva of a person is, lokutz b'dvar b'asmadasam, to get disgusted by things when he always has them. That's the teva. Whatever we get used to is not good enough anymore. We always want new things, change, different. You come to embarrass the Malamed and the Torah Atzma. Okay, that's if to drink thirsty. Okay, so we'll see in a second. So let's give some examples to make it more real, right? Let's say a guy goes to. You ever travel to Eretz Yisrael? You ever go to the Kosel? Mm-hmm. You go to the Kosel. It's wow, such a big moment. You walk up to the Kosel the first time you go to the Kosel. Right? Something special. But there's some people who go to the Kosel every day. They learn about the Kosel every day. What do you think? How's their feeling, right? You get used to it. It loses its glory on some level. If you, let's say someone has a meeting with Rabbi Yashiv. You meet with Rabbi Yashiv. The holiness, unbelievable, the Gadol Ador. But if you go every day to meet with Rabbi Yashiv, or whoever it is, imagine what happens when you go every single day, the same thing, over and over and over. It loses it. It loses its holiness. It loses its level. And therefore, the Pasuk tells us, even to the Shechina, even to the Mokom HaShechina, where Hashem is, you can't come all the time. You start coming all the time, it loses comes regular. Comes regular, that's it.
Familiarity breeds contempt.
Right. That's exactly what we're talking about over here.
So when you show 3 times a day.
So what do we do, right? It starts to get boring. So here's where...
Oh, that's what the Kibbe says about these
yeah, similar. Right, exactly. Well, here's where we get into a problem. Because we get into a problem, so what should I do? Should I not, maybe this week I won't keep Shabbos, so next week will be more interesting, right? Like, where do you draw the line? Like, we have to have a routine where we're doing the same things over and over and over and over and over and over again. We keep doing the same things. But on the flip side, when you do things too many times, when you keep doing the same thing over and over, you get bored. So what do you do? This is a tremendous challenge that we have. What do you do? So this is something that he's actually going to talk about. But let's just go through a few more examples that he brings and a few more things to explain it, and then we'll see some ideas of what you do and the challenge. And then he talks about the Seder specifically. We'll see what happened. Interesting to me. Okay, so we find similarly by the man. Imagine the first time Klal Yisrael is walking in the midbar, no food to eat, everyone's starving. All of a sudden, just try to imagine yourself walking in a desert. If you ever been to a desert, ever been to a desert? Ever been to the Dead Sea? Any desert? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but not a desert that's 5 minutes from Yerushalayim. Go to a real desert. You got to go to a desert where there's... What?
Sinai counts.
Yeah, the Sinai counts. If you've been deep into the Sinai, you can't be more than 10 minutes away from any civilization. So you come to the desert and you're starving. There's nothing to eat. The kids are starving. Everyone's starving. Out of the sky falls bread. You eat the bread. Wow, unbelievable! The miracle, the joy, the desire to eat that food. It's beyond any. We can't even comprehend the concept of food falling out of the sky for us to eat. and all the various miracles that came along with the man, exactly enough and not too much, not too little, it couldn't leave over. There's a lot of miracles going on. What happened? After a few months, our hearts, our nefesh, is disgusted with this lechem akloika, with this kind of bread. What happened after the man ended? It says they stopped eating man because they didn't have man. So Rashi explains over there, why did they eat man? Only because they didn't have man. But had they had man, then they would have eaten it. Marshal, to a child, you say to him, why are you eating barley bread? Why don't you eat wheat bread? And he says, because I don't have wheat bread. Of course I'd rather eat wheat bread. So too, of course I would have rather eaten the man. So what happened? All of a sudden now they rather eat the man? Yeah, because when you don't have it, now what happens? Now you want it. When it's available, when you have it every day over and over and over, then what happens? You get disgusted. As soon as you can have it, now you want it. Now you desire it. And that's the nature. And this is a tremendous, tremendous challenge that we're placed in at all times. We get used to everything. We always want more, different. And as soon as you lose it, then you're dying for it again. So then he says like this is not about this piece is over here, I guess it's at the time of Pesach. And he says like this, Mitzvah Sipur Yitzias Mitzrayim. 1 second. V'zui ikra avodah sa'avodah ha'adam. This is the ikra avodah of a person. L'chadish es rigshosav kol shah. To keep waking up his feeling at all time. L'ishma alev, and to guard his heart. Leval yitztanen ba'avodas Hashem. He shouldn't get cold. He shouldn't get bored with serving Hashem. V'lo tiyeh yirasim mitzvahs anashim l'umada. His yira, his fear of Hashem, shouldn't become like out of habit. Just sort of something I do. Right? This is there's people who they define them as almost like spiritually, like just going through the motions, right? You get up like, a guy could be a firm Jew. He gets up, he does Shabbos, everything, but he's going through the motions. His heart's not there. His head's not there. His heart's not there. He's just not there. He's almost like it's just going through the motions. This is the biggest danger. And then he talks about mitzvah sipur yitzias mitzrayim. And the funny thing is that this is mamash what I was going through. Mitzvah sipur yitzias mitzrayim. The mitzvah sipur yitzias mitzrayim. It has to be done through question and answer. Even if you're sitting on your own. So guy's a bachelor, he's not married, he's by himself, he's making a seder for whatever reason, maybe you have to travel to China, and you're sitting somewhere, in your hospital, wherever you are, you're doing your own seder, for whatever reason it is. When you're doing your own seder, you're the only guy there, you still have to ask and answer questions. Why? V'tam hadavar, listen to this. Ki mitzvah zu kasha l'kaima korei. It's a very hard mitzvah to keep. She'inyan tzipur hu l'saper davar chadash. In order to tell it, the story, the idea of a story is to tell something new. U'lo'idiyah leben dvarim she'en yeduin lo, to tell the child something that he doesn't know. We know the story already. Been there, done that. This is my 40th year, whatever number year it is that you're doing the Seder. It's boring. This is my problem that I was having, right? Say the same shir again and again. Yeah, but I mean, every year it's Pesach again. You got to review it every year. It's the same thing with the halachas, It's a little challenge that I have. You have the pre-Purim shir, the pre-Pesach shir. It's boring, like every year, the pre-Purim shir. Every year, I remember when I used to grow up, every year my Rav would review, Mashav Ruach. Like it comes time for Mashav Ruach, you review. If you forget it, if you miss it, what do you do? And it's like, okay, we heard that already. Yeah, but the problem is every year, it's again, you forget it. You don't remember the rules. You got to keep reviewing to remember. So, but the point is, how do you do the mitzvah sipur kol chassid? Now, especially, it's an even greater challenge when the kid comes home from school, right? And he just learned everything in school. He knows more than you. What are you going to teach him? Sipur yitzias mitzrayim. What's sipur yitzias mitzrayim? He knows the story. He just finished learning it every day in school. What's the sipur yitzias mitzrayim? How do you do sipur yitzias mitzrayim? And how do you get any pleasure in it? How do you keep it new? How do you keep it fresh if you heard it already? Right? If I tell you a geschmack amazing story that happened to me, it's very interesting, right? But if I tell it to you again, next year, you might forget it by next year. If I tell it to you the third year, you still might forget it. But let's do this for 10 years. Let's see how exciting it gets. At some point, you start saying like, okay, again, the same story, that same story. Could you just fine already. We don't need to hear the same story again. Right? It's boring. The same thing over and over. So what do? How do you keep things fresh? How do you keep things new? So he gives a couple eitzes now, and that they're included in the Seder. And he says that's why the kachba mitzvah b'derech shel sheila tshuva. That's why this mitzvah is a mitzvah that's done through questions and answers. The reason why it's done through questions and answers is because the she'ela wakes up the desire. When a person asks a question, or when a person even hears the question, if you ever go to a Dvar Torah, 95% almost, at least from rabbinical speakers, maybe 90%, but almost always, this is what they do. They'll read a pasuk, they'll ask a question, and they'll give an answer, right? That's not how normal people talk. No, seriously, it's not. You ever notice that? You ever listen to a proper lecture, like a regular Goyish lecture? It's not like that. They don't bring down a pasuk in Chumash or whatever, something somewhere, then ask a question and say, why does it say like this, and then say an idea. That's not how they talk. They just say things, right? But in Judaism, it's always, why is the pasuk like this? Why did you see something? Why did this happen? And the answer is, right, always, almost always. Correct or incorrect? It could be that some of the less, maybe the more like, university type rabbis maybe do more lecture style. Maybe. I don't know for sure. Even them not, right? What?
No. It's always question.
Yeah? Look, I'm just thinking of like
It's
maybe some of the... What?
You can find an exception, but it's very rare.
As a general rule, a guy comes in, asks questions, answers questions. He's saying the questions and the answers himself. He's not asking you the questions and answers. But
it's what's bothering Rashi.
yeah, it's like why do Rashi say like this? Why is it like that? And then from that we prove it, right? Like just like I just started. I could have said it differently. Here's how I could have said it. I could have said the pasuk says, don't go in there. Why shouldn't it go in there? Because you shouldn't get used to it. Because getting used to it is the biggest danger, and that's why you shouldn't do it. But that's not how it's said. It's not how it's set up. It's like, why does Rashi say this is the reason? Well, why is that the reason? What's wrong with that? Each thing, question, answer. And the reason is because when you do things derech she'elo tshuva, it makes it more interesting. It wakes things up. It brings it out. It makes the person want to listen. And especially if I get you to ask the question, if I'm over you to ask the question, then you're going to be interested. Right? In the real estate courses, I take real estate courses, so they say try to do everything questions, right? Because people don't want to hear a lecture. Nobody wants to sit, right? You're trying to explain to them why, should I put an offer, should I not put an offer? You got to try to phrase it all as questions. Get them to talk, ask them questions, keep them interested. You still with a lecture, they're looking at you, but you don't really know what's the...
Yeah, then you want real open-ended questions.
Yeah, well, they teach you kinds of questions. Yeah, but
We are people who are famous for answering.
But that's a little different. By the Seder, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get him to ask questions. I'm trying to get you to ask the question, and now I can sort of give you that lecture. But if there's two ways I give you the lecture. If you ask me a question, then I give you the lecture, you're going to listen. If I give you the lecture without the question, you're not going to listen. So therefore, Chaim says that it's set up in a way, derech she'elo tshuva. Same thing. The idea of doing these funny things in order to get the children to ask is all in order to wake them up, to get them more interested. Same thing, you pick up the matzah, you pick up the mar in order to get them more interested. We talked in previous years from the Michtav Melio that the whole Seder is set up as a teaching course. There's visual aids, there's ways of trying to get classroom participation, call it, get people involved and do things which are out of the ordinary in order to get them to ask, in order to bring things out. And there's different parts of the Haggadah which are set up in a way, for example, Dayenu, which is 15 things. It's broken up into 15 separate parts to show each one is individually something. Each thing in the Seder is there to try to wake people up. And all this is there in order to wake up the newness, in order to make it fresh and new. Because if you don't keep making things fresh and new, you're finished. And that's what it says. So that's by the Seder specifically. And that's, by my shir, I guess the same idea would be to, it's okay to give the same shir again. Every year even, theoretically. If that's the most important information that needs to be given, and that's what needs to be reviewed. So it's fine. You give the same thing over and over. You say the same Agada, just like you say the same Magid every year, right? But the idea is to find in it. Chiddush is the way to protect yourself. The only Eitzah from the sakana of hergo is Chiddush. Chiddush is making it new, fresh, by growing. And the only way to have a Chiddush is by growth, by growing. So like Harry said, right? Al tasa tefillah chikva el tachnunim. Within your tefillah, to try to keep it alive, keep it real, focus on different parts. I once had a mashkiach who used to tell us that every day, try to come up with one little thought on tefillah, question, an answer, an idea, and write it down in your book. Every day, write it down in a little notebook. Every single day, a little thought, you know. I remember when he pointed it out to us, I think that I tried to do it a little bit. I remember even some of the thoughts I had. Like, just pay attention. The point is, if you find something new, it makes it fresh, it makes it real, it keeps it alive. And this is a challenge because on one hand, you got to keep davening every day. You got to get in the routine. If you don't get in the routine, you're finished, right? I used to have a friend who was the other way. He said he's not doing any routines. He doesn't want to do Seder. Right? We had a big machlokes. It's a very interesting story. We had a big argument. Should a guy do Seder? No, learn a whole day. I learned till I fall asleep. I wake up when I wake up. Just learn a whole day. That's what he wanted to do. Guess how long it lasted? A few weeks. Yeah, he did. He stayed up till 4 in the morning learning. It was unbelievable. But after a few weeks, he burnt out. If you stick with the Seder, with the schedule, right, every day the same thing, you get used to it. It gets into a program. So that's the danger. You have to keep having chiddush. And you have to keep growing up. You have to keep going higher. He brings down the pasuk, Orach Chaim Lamaylo Lamaschol. The way of Chaim is to constantly going up. Laman Sur Mishol Mata, in order to stay away from going down. And basically the idea is that if you're not going up, you're going down. But why is that true? We all heard that before. If you're not going up, you're going down. Why? Why can't I just stay the same? What's wrong with staying the same? Who says I've got to be going up? Going up is hard. No? Going up is a lot of work. I don't really want to do that much work. I don't mind coming to shul every day, but I don't want to keep growing. You want to keep growing every single day? It's hard work. Every day growing. I'm kind of happy where I am. Probably most of that. I'm okay where I am. I don't want to grow every single day. It's too much work to grow every day, no? You don't think so?
You don't have to do that much.
Every day to grow? Yeah, every day to grow. Every day I'm working on myself more. It's hard. I just want to relax. I don't mind. I go to shul. I keep Shabbat. I want to relax. I learn the same thing. I don't want to work so hard. What's the problem? Why can't I just stay where I am? Who made this up? Either up or down. Why? What is this? Who made it up? I want to go straight. I don't want to work so hard. I don't want to go up. I'm not trying to be the Gadol Hador. I'm just trying to be a regular guy. That's it. He's the rabbi. I'm just a regular guy. I'll work a whole day. No, you don't ever feel that way? You always just want to go. I don't want to go down.
No.
I'm not looking to go down. I'm okay right here. What's the problem? What's the problem with staying here? The problem is, Dr. Chaim, that when you stay where you are, you start to get disgusted with it. There's nothing you can do about it. You get used to it, you get into routine, you start to get disgusted by it. It's too bad. You gotta keep growing up. You gotta keep growing. If you keep growing, it's exciting, it's new, it's fresh, it's growing, it's chiddush, it's building, and then you're okay. Then you can keep going. But if you stop, then you stay the same, you get bored, you go down. Finished. Too bad. You don't like growing all day? I don't either. It's too bad. If you're not going to grow a whole day, you're going to go down. You can't stay the same. Impossible. It's tough. But that's how Hashem set up the world. You see, Hashem doesn't want us to take it easy. This is the problem. We just sort of want to find our place and take it easy. But He doesn't want us to take it easy. He wants us to work. Always working. Constantly working. No matter how old you are. Always going up. Always getting better. You do want to be the Gadol Hador. It's not true. You don't know. It's not enough. I'm okay where I am. No, you're not okay where you are. You got to keep going up. You got to keep going up. It's hard work. Yeah, it's hard work. Good. That's why you're here. Work hard. Too bad. That's it. And if you don't, then you're going to go down. And it's not up to you.
God is the real source.
say. Va'apoelim atzelim.
My kids tell me too.
No, it's in Pirkei Avos. Va'apoelim atzelim. The workers are lazy. Ubalabai is doichek, and the balabai is pushing. He's pressuring. Let's go. Get to work. Stop wasting time. Come on, we got to keep going up. If you're not going to go up, you're going down. Now here's something interesting, though. Something very interesting is, the Pasuk tells us, and this is connected to this. Sometimes, the Pasuk says like this, Al tismachi oyavti li, my enemies should not be happy, ki nafalti kamti, because I fell down, I got up. Ki esha b'chosha, because I sat in the darkness, Hashem orli, Hashem is my light. And Chazal tells us in the Medrash and Tehillim, ilule shenafalti, loy kamti. What does the pasuk mean? Ki nafalti kamti. Ilule shenafalti. If I would not have fallen, I would not have got up. It's a little different than that other thing. What's that other thing when I was a kid? I've fallen and I can't get up. Remember that? I don't know where that's from.
Commercial.
Some commercial, right?
Emergency.
This is the opposite. Ilule shenafalti. If not for the fact that I fell, I wouldn't have got up. The ilule sheyashati b'choshech. If I wouldn't have sat in the darkness, lo Hashem orli. And this is a fascinating idea. Sometimes by falling, it wakes a person up to do more. When you get used to your routine, what happens is, sometimes you fall a little bit. When you fall a little bit, it gets you out of that system. You're like, oh no, where am I? And then you go up. Ki nafalti kamti, the way of Yiddishkeit, unfortunately, because this is also a rough thing, is the growth comes through challenges and falling and failure. From the failure comes the growth. Ki nafalti kamti. The goal is that you're going like this. You go up 2, fall 1, up 2, fall 1, up 2, fall 1. So hopefully you're still, keep on going up. You keep falling, but you keep going up. But the idea is that through the failure, it breaks the hergo. It breaks the habit. It breaks the routine and makes us fall, and then we go up. He says maybe this is the pshat why there's bein hazmanim. Because he's talking right before Pesach, right before all the guys go home for Nisan, right? Especially in Israel, they go back to America for a month. What do you think? Do you think they sit? I mean, even the best guys who are learning even bein hazmanim, it's not the same as being in yeshiva a whole day with the Rabbi and shir. You go home, it's not the same. You can't keep up the same level. Traveling, this, that. Why do you have a bein hazmanim? So he says it could be that this is one of the reasons for bein hazmanim, because bein hazmanim gives you a nefila. That's dangerous, because it's dangerous to have a nefila. But bein hazmanim gives you a nefila that when you come back, you get a fresh start again, constantly fresh starts. Shashaval Hirsch talks about how every year, especially Nisan time, we're heading into the springtime, and you walk outside now, especially this week, Baruch Hashem, we have good weather. You walk outside, it almost feels like there's like a rebirth. The world's waking up again. He brings a pasuk where you start to hear the birds chirping, and the grass starts growing, and the flowers start coming out, and the trees get green. It's like a rebirth of the world, and it gives us a chance to have a rebirth. Every Nisan, every spring is a chance to have a hischadshus, to have a fresh start. And really the truth is that every month is a chance to have a fresh start. Every month is a Zman Kapara. It says in the pasuk, I think we mentioned this recently, Zman Kapara l'chol toldosim. Every Rosh Chodesh is a Zman Kapara, because every new...
Musaf, right?
We say the Musaf. Yeah, the first thing in Musaf, Zman Kapara l'chol toldosim, because every fresh start is new. And I once heard, I think from Victor Miller, I can't remember that, one of the reasons why Hashem set us up in a way where we have to go to sleep. Why do we have to go to sleep? Why can't we just always be up? What's the point of sleep? There's other reasons for sleep, but one of the reasons for sleep is to break things up into units, where every day you get a fresh start, right? Sometimes you've got a rough day, just things aren't working out well, you're tired, you're worn out. Whatever it is, you got in a fight, it didn't work out, you wake up the next day, it's a fresh start. Automatically, that's how you feel. It's a new day. Like, yesterday's troubles are kind of behind you. Today's a new day. I once heard an eitzah to grow is to take a nap every day. Because you take a nap every day, you kind of break up your day. You got the morning unit, you got the night unit. You can keep it, you have more energy, you be more recharged. Not because the sleep recharges you, but because it cuts it up into units. And everything's cut up into units, minutes, hours. Every new unit is a chance for a new growth. And every year, every spring is a chance for a new growth. And that's the avodah of the whole Chodesh Nisan, the avodah of a whole year really, is to constantly be mechadish, to constantly be waking it up, to constantly making it fresh and new and alive, and asking questions and being interested and looking into it and trying to come up with a chiddush, trying to delve deeper, trying to change it a little bit. So in order that, it doesn't get bored, it doesn't get stale, it doesn't get old, you're trying to grow, trying to understand it deeper. Constant growth keeps things fresh, keeps things alive, and keeps things going. And that's the cycle of the year, right? The cycle of the year is that you go through like down periods, and the down periods sort of calm you down, and then it's up fresh again, and constantly going through nefilah, through going up, through going down. But the goal is to keep going up, and you try to avoid the nefilas. But when you do fall, there's a day. It's a good timing. Right? When you do fall, the point is to, on one hand, to feel bad, but on the other hand, it gives you a chance to get up again. It gives you a chance to get started again. So, Mitzvah Shem, we should all be able to deal with this challenge of hergo. But going back for me for a second, it was an interesting message because I was trying to decide what to do. Give the same share. It's boring. It's not boring. You got to just make it fresh. You got to keep it exciting. You got to do it in a way that it's interesting, or come up with some new chedushim. And it doesn't have to be all chiddush, I don't think, right? If you have an hour shir and a few new things, it's already enough that it keeps it interesting and exciting. New way of looking at it, a new idea. But that's the idea of the Seder. You got to keep it fresh. You got to keep it real, and not let it get boring, even though you've done it so many times.